Have you ever noticed how some people walk into a room and instantly command attention without even saying a word? Their presence is magnetic. They don't try too hard. They don't chase approval, and yet everyone is drawn to them. This is the essence of true charisma. And here's the truth. It has nothing to do with pretending, nothing to do with acting confident, nothing to do with repeating affirmations in the mirror until you're exhausted. Real charisma, real self-confidence, comes from the inside. Carl Jung, one of the greatest psychologists of the 20th century, uncovered why some people shine with effortless presence while others struggle endlessly, no matter how hard they try. He revealed that confidence is not something you add to yourself, it's something you uncover by peeling away the layers of illusion that keep you small. Today, we are diving into Jung's ideas that, if you integrate them, will transform your energy, your presence, your life. Jung taught that every one of us wears a mask. He called it the persona. The persona is the version of yourself that you show to the world. It's the polite smile you put on at work, the confident tone you try to use in an interview, the acceptable version of yourself you present to society. And make no mistake, the persona is necessary. Without it, we wouldn't be able to function in society. It's the role we play. But here's the danger. When you start to believe that your mask is who you truly are, you lose your power. Because charisma doesn't come from a mask. It comes from the energy underneath it, the real you. Think about the people you admire for their confidence. Do they look like they're trying hard to impress you? No, they're relaxed, grounded, comfortable in their own skin. Why? Because they know the mask is just a tool, not their identity. Most people, however, cling to their mask. They say, if I just pretend harder, if I just perform better, if I just look confident. But the harder you cling to the mask, the more people sense the effort, the performance, the insecurity. Charisma isn't about wearing a perfect mask. It's about being unafraid to let the mask slip. When you stop clinging to your persona, when you realize, I am more than this role, more than this image, more than this performance, you begin to radiate confidence. Because confidence is not the absence of fear. It's the absence of pretending. But here's where Jung takes us deeper. If the persona is the mask we show to the world, the shadow is everything we hide. The shadow is the part of you you've been told is unacceptable. Maybe you were told as a child that anger is bad, so you push it down. Maybe you were told not to be too loud, too ambitious, too wild, so you bury that too. But what happens to these buried parts? Do they disappear? No, they sink into the unconscious. They become your shadow. And here's the paradox. The more you try to hide your shadow, the more it controls you. Think of the people who lack confidence. They speak quietly, avoid eye contact, shrink themselves down. Why? Because inside, they're terrified of their own hidden energy. They're afraid that if they speak too boldly, it'll be too much. If they show their ambition, they'll be judged. If they show their anger, they'll be rejected. So they repress, until there's nothing left but a hollow mask. But Jung discovered the secret. True charisma comes when you integrate the shadow. That means owning your anger, not lashing out, but saying, yes, I can be angry. And that's part of my power. It means owning your ambition, not hiding it, but allowing yourself to want what you want. It means owning your flaws, your scars, your so-called weaknesses. Because here's the truth. People are not drawn to perfection. They're drawn to wholeness. Think about the most charismatic people in history. They weren't flawless. They were raw. They were real. They had fire and passion and contradictions. They had shadows, but they weren't ashamed of them. Charisma is the courage to stand in your wholeness and say, yes, this is me. Light and dark. Strength and weakness. I am not perfect, but I am whole. When you integrate your shadow, people feel it. They feel your energy as something solid, authentic, magnetic. You're no longer hiding. You're no longer fragmented. You're a whole human being. And wholeness is irresistible. Carl Jung believed that deep within our unconscious minds live what he called archetypes, universal patterns of human energy. They are the timeless characters that appear in myths, stories, and dreams across every culture. But here's the secret. Archetypes aren't just stories. They are energies that live inside of you. And when you awaken them, your charisma grows tenfold. Think about the king or queen archetype. This is the energy of leadership, authority, presence. A king doesn't need to shout to command respect. A queen doesn't need to beg for validation. Their power radiates because they embody dignity, self-respect, and groundedness. Then there's the warrior. The warrior's charisma comes from courage and determination. People feel safe around a warrior because they know this person will protect, this person will fight for what matters. The lover archetype brings warmth, empathy, passion. It's the energy that makes you approachable, magnetic, deeply human. When someone embodies the lover, others feel truly seen. And finally, the magician. This is the archetype of wisdom, creativity, insight. The magician has a mysterious charisma people lean in because they sense hidden knowledge, a vision beyond the ordinary. Now imagine this. Within you, all of these archetypes live. At different times, different energies want to come forward. True charisma is not about being just one thing. It's about being able to shift, to channel these energies authentically, depending on the moment. A great leader might combine the authority of the king, the courage of the warrior, the empathy of the lover, and the vision of the magician. That's why their presence feels so rich, so multidimensional. Most people are stuck in one archetype or worse. They suppress them all, hiding behind the mask of the persona. But you have the power to awaken them. The next time you step into a room, ask yourself, what archetype is needed here? What part of me wants to come alive? When you allow yourself to embody these deep energies, your charisma stops being forced. It becomes archetypal. An archetypal charisma is unforgettable. Now, all of this leads us to Jung's ultimate goal for human beings, individuation. Individuation is the process of becoming your true self, integrating the persona, the shadow, the archetypes, until you no longer live as a fragment, but as a whole. And here's the connection to charisma. People are drawn, irresistibly, to authenticity. Think about it. You've probably met someone who tried very hard to be liked, who adjusted their personality depending on who was in the room. And you probably felt it, right? Something about them seemed fake, and fake never attracts. But then you've met people who don't seem to care whether you like them or not. They are simply themselves. Their words match their energy. Their gestures match their spirit. They're not playing a part. They're not trying to impress. And ironically, that's why they're magnetic. This is the essence of individuation. To stop living as a mask, to stop burying your shadow, to stop running from yourself, and instead, to live in alignment with your deepest truth. Charisma and confidence are natural byproducts of this process. Because when you are authentic, people trust you. They sense your energy is clean, uncontradicted, whole. And here's the paradox. Self-confidence is not about being the loudest in the room. It's not about dominating or forcing. It's about harmony and inner calm that says, I am who I am. I don't need to pretend. I don't need to hide. When you are authentic, you no longer chase approval. You no longer fear rejection. You become, as Jung would say, individuated, a complete self. And that completeness is the source of the most powerful charisma in the world. Because at the deepest level, charisma isn't about techniques or tricks. It's about truth. Carl Jung often said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Now think about that in terms of confidence. How many times have you felt nervous in a room and you couldn't explain why? How many times have you second-guessed yourself, even when you knew you were capable? How many times have you sabotaged your own success? Not because you lacked skill, but because something invisible was holding you back. That something is the unconscious. The unconscious is not just a dark cave of repressed fears. It's a vast ocean of forgotten memories, instincts, energies, and creative power. And whether you realize it or not, it's influencing you in every interaction. Here's the key. People sense your unconscious. If you secretly believe you're not good enough, no amount of fake confidence will hide it, because others will feel the tension between your mask and your truth. If you repress your shadow, it will leak out in awkward ways, maybe as insecurity, maybe as arrogance, maybe as passive aggression. This is why so many people fail at confidence tricks. They memorize body language hacks, vocal tones, even scripts to sound charismatic, but something feels off. The unconscious hasn't been addressed. Jung's wisdom is this: integrate the unconscious, and your presence changes without effort. When you own your shadow, people feel your wholeness. When you embrace your hidden drives, people sense your power. When you bring light to your inner darkness, you radiate authenticity. Because here's the secret to charisma. It's not what you say, it's the energy beneath your words. And that energy comes straight from your unconscious. This is why the journey to confidence is not external. It is inward. The more you bring awareness to the unconscious, the freer and more magnetic you become. At the core of Jung's psychology is a concept he called the self. The self is not your ego, the small I, that wants validation, approval, and recognition. The self is the totality of who you are. Your conscious mind, your unconscious mind, your light, your shadow, your archetypes all united in one center. Think of it like this. The ego is the candle flame. The self is the sun. When you live only from the ego, you are fragile. You're always worrying. Do they like me? Do I look confident? Am I saying the right thing? Your presence flickers like a small flame in the wind. But when you live from the self, you no longer chase approval, because you radiate from something far deeper. You don't enter a room seeking validation. You bring validation with you. You don't ask, will they notice me? Because your very presence is undeniable. This is what presence really means. Presence is not about being the loudest voice. It's about embodying the self, the wholeness of your being. When you are aligned with the self, people sense stability in you. They sense depth. They sense something larger than personality, something timeless, archetypal. This is why some people have charisma that feels almost sacred. Jung understood that the self is like a magnet. The more you align with it, the more people are drawn to you, not because you try, but because they recognize something in you that reflects their own wholeness. This is why real charisma can't be faked. It's not about technique, it's about presence. And presence is the natural aura of someone who has made peace with themselves. When you embody the self, you don't need to push. You don't need to chase. You don't need to prove. You simply are. And that is the most magnetic force in the world. Now you might be wondering, this all sounds powerful, but how do I actually apply it? How do I take Jung's ideas and use them to build charisma and confidence in real life? Let's get practical. 1. Shadow journaling. Take a notebook and write down the traits you dislike in others. Maybe it's arrogance, maybe it's selfishness, maybe it's laziness. Then ask yourself, where does this exist in me? This is shadow work. The qualities you judge most harshly often live in your own unconscious. By acknowledging them, instead of denying them, you begin to integrate your shadow, and with that, your confidence grows. 2. Archetype embodiment. Before you step into a social situation, whether it's a meeting, a date, or a presentation, close your eyes and visualize one archetype. If you need authority, embody the king or queen. If you need courage, call forth the warrior. If you want connection, bring out the lover. If you need vision, summon the magician. Walk into the room carrying that energy. You'll be amazed how people respond. 3. Drop the mask exercise. Notice moments when you're performing. Maybe you laugh at a joke you don't find funny, or you nod in agreement when you actually disagree. Catch yourself. In those moments, breathe deeply and ask, what would my authentic self say here? Speak it calmly, without force. This is how you train yourself to live beyond the persona. 4. Self-observation without judgment. Throughout the day, observe your thoughts and emotions as if you're watching a movie. Don't judge, don't label, just notice. This practice makes the unconscious conscious. The more you see yourself clearly, the less you're ruled by hidden fears. 5. Embody stillness. Charismatic people are rarely frantic. They move slowly, deliberately. Practice pausing before you speak. Hold eye contact a little longer. Breathe deeply. Let silence be your ally. Presence is born in stillness. These practices aren't about adding confidence, they're about uncovering it. Because the truth is, you already have charisma. You already have confidence. It's simply buried beneath masks, fears, and unconscious patterns. Jung's work is the key to removing those layers. So here is the truth, my friend. Charisma is not a trick. Confidence is not a performance. They are the natural byproducts of becoming whole. When you stop clinging to the mask, when you embrace your shadow, when you awaken your archetypes, when you align with yourself, you radiate a presence that no one can ignore. People feel it. They lean in. They want to be near you, not because of what you say, but because of who you are. This is the gift of Jung's psychology. It shows us that the secret to magnetism is not chasing approval, but becoming authentic. It shows us that self-confidence is not about being louder, but being truer. And it shows us that charisma is not about perfection, but about wholeness. So the next time you step into a room, remember, you don't have to perform. You don't have to prove. You don't have to pretend. You simply have to be. And when you are fully, unapologetically you, the world will notice. If this message resonated with you, subscribe for more wisdom and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because charisma isn't just for a few, it's for everyone willing to take the journey inward.